Alex Jones's NWO Wars is a video game based off the soon-to-be cancelled fictional audio drama series InfoWars, and it's mainly targeted towards the people who straight-facedly say, "I don't want politics in my video games." It's a game in which you play as Alex Jones as he sees himself whilst jerking off to his own reflection as he adopts a muscular frame and takes on his enemies, who are a band of completely original characters of Alex Jones's imagining and do not represent anything from real life in any which shape or form. Wait, can I get a visual reference? I'm pretty sure he looks nothing like that in real life. Yep, I fucking knew it. The game plays as a classic side-scrolling dealy like Metal Slug or Alien Hominid, both of which I played not too long before this, and both just make this game feel all the worst for it in every single way. By the way, I'm going to be comparing this to those a lot, mainly because they're my favourite points of reference when it comes to games that are very like this. The game was released on January 3rd of this year. Personally, if I was Alex, I would have made it January 6th for symbolic reasons. And, well, it does have an interesting about game section. Play the official Alex Jones video game. A classic arcade shooter in which you play as Alex Jones and save the world from the evil globalist plot to turn everyone into bug-eating, pod-dwelling libtards. Stay tuned for future bonus levels and characters. Oh, that's fucking great. Let's take a look at the news hub and see if... Oh, shit. Alex Jones lied about something? Well, I never. So booting up this thing almost instantly did surprise me because most aspects of this game, from it having controller support, it having some decent graphics and actually competent gameplay, left me kinda taken aback. Like, this isn't a barely functional dogshit meme game like I've encountered numerous times in the past. There's actually some, I'd almost say legitimacy to this game and how it's constructed and programmed. The game is criminally short, and as I said, Alien Hominid and Metal Slug kick the shit out of this game as far as, well, all aspects go, mostly control, game design, and overall quality goes, but I can't say that this game is poorly made. The developers are NWO Wars team, and by the way, I really wish my autocorrect would fuck off and stop correcting NWO to now, because it's really fucking pissing me off, and it seems to persist on doing it even when I tell it not to. NWO Wars is apparently comprised of the people who worked on the Kyle Rittenhouse Turkey Shoot video game, which I actually tried to see if I could find any similarities, and I do have to admit I could buy that the same people who made this also made the Kyle Rittenhouse game. Both are way too competently made for what they are, and they both have this really weird homoerotic undertone.
The fake news turkeys have been swarming me and my golf course. I don't know what to do.
It's time to stuff these turkeys.
Anyway, for what it's worth, I don't think the NWO Wars team is the worst development studio I've encountered from an angle of technical competency, so they have that going for them. The first level takes place in Big Pharma's Mad Vaccine Lab. Jesus Christ, this is the kind of game I'm playing. Where little Dr. Fuka is trying to turn everyone into a gay frog by injecting you. I think you meant injecting them, as you would imply that somehow injecting me personally turns everyone else into a gay frog, and that doesn't make sense. Well, maybe actually this is somehow how this shit works. I mean, I don't know. I've not consumed anywhere near enough fentanyl for this completely original science fiction story to make sense to me. I mean, Death Stranding makes more sense than this. I finally get to shoot something at the start of the game, and I'm not sure if it's innovation from this game, but I have to admit the bullets do feel like they have some sort of bite when fired. Like, compared to some games like Bulletstorm and a few others, I legitimately can't help but feel like this game's guns do pack a bit of a punch. Like, I have to give credit for that. Alex then secures the heterosexuality around these parts by saying, "I'll eat your ass."
I'll eat your ass.
Something of note that I find interesting about this game is that Alex Jones actually voice acted this and willfully played this caricature of himself. He's somewhat proved through his willfulness to outright turn himself into a parody that he just doesn't actually believe the things that he says. And that's very brave for a man who was on trial at the time for slander against victims of a massacre. I mean, maybe it's just a me thing, but if I wanted to avoid slander and libel charges, the last thing I'd want out there is a product that more or less confirms that everything I say is a grift for attention and that I don't actually believe it, as that might really damage any case that I could make that I believed what I was saying to be truthful at the time. Right, so we reach our first complaint, like my first actual major complaint of this game, that made me want to download it into a sentient robot who would absorb it and make it part of their entire personality just so that I could tell it how much I hate it and then throw it off a roof for subjecting me to this. But my biggest complaint, above all else, is this fucking soundbite.
The elites don't want you to know this, but the ducks in the park are free. You can take them home. I have $558.
Basically, Alex Jones reads out this entire meme about ducks in the park being free. Now, if you ever found that joke funny to begin with, you sure as fuck won't by the time you finish NWO Wars, as you will hear this joke once every few minutes for the best part of half an hour. You'll probably be muttering it in your fucking sleep. Alex says it for no reason, basically all of the time, and I have no idea what even triggers it. If he reloads, sees a primary colour, sees a word with a vowel in it, or sees something made of atoms, he's going to say it. We get to our first boss fight, Virgin Billionaire, who is a completely original character with no real life influences. He has one line: "I'm going to lower the world's population. Ha ha ha."
I'm going to lower the world's population. Ha ha ha.
But yeah, in the minute or so it took me to kill Virgin Billionaire, original character, don't steal, I heard that quote 5 times.
I'm going to lower the world's population. Ha ha ha. I'm going to lower the world's population. Ha ha ha. I'm going to lower the world's population. Ha ha ha. I'm going to lower the world's population. Ha ha ha.
Every 20 seconds on average, I heard that quote. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, could he have had another line or two? He makes Final Fantasy XIV raid bosses look like slackers when it comes to repeating the same fucking line over and over again. Alex takes testosterone in this, confirming that he is indeed transgender. We then meet Dr. Fuka, who is driving something from alien hominid, I'm not sure what. Dr. Fuka apparently created HIV in a lab because apparently viruses can't happen on their own. It's some random scientist's fault. It always is some random scientist's fault. You know, I'm more willing to believe that Alex Jones fucked a monkey and gave us AIDS. That sounds way more plausible than this stupid conspiracy theory. Not a slight against this game, but I do have to admit, Dr. Fuka is like kiddie gloves compared to the similar fights I'd pulled off less than a week ago in Alien Hominid. Like, at this point, it really felt like this was too easy. It's like fighting kids after being heavyweight champion. We move on to the next level, Big Tech Mania in Silicon Valley. Here we throw a temper tantrum because private companies don't feel a need to host our bullshit, lies, hate speech and disingenuous horseshit on their platforms. So they should die for that. This level takes place in San Francisco and we fight the homeless. I really don't know why. The lab level at least connected. Mad scientist makes zombies using vaccines. I mean, that makes sense and shit. But here, I don't get it. Mark Zuckerberg makes homeless people? What? By the way, I just wanted to point out a bit of misinformation. Alex Jones is a tubby bastard. His body looks nothing like this, and he's way too weak to carry a minigun. He also couldn't take on a conflict like this. The dude would just hire a crisis actor to cry for him, like he did when he hired a bunch of actors to pretend to be feds and invade the InfoWars HQ.
Now I try to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children.
By the way, these guys here who vomit up clumps of shit, yeah, I don't know what their deal is, but the stuff they vomit up doesn't actually seem to hurt you. You go right through it. I believe it's meant to slow you down, but it doesn't even do that. We then get Joe Centaur from the Joe Centaur Experience, who is depicted as a muscular horseman. A near shirtless Alex Jones jumps on the horseman's back and rides his muscular shirtless best friend across the rest of the level. Not gay. I'll give props that they didn't have to lie about Joe Rogan being somewhat muscular, though the dude does not have hooves. Believe me, I checked, he doesn't have hooves. Oh look, some damsels for me to save. Shit man, I thought that I had to be an ISIS terrorist to win myself 72 virgins as a reward, but I guess fighting for the other extreme works too. We then fight Big Tech Lizard Nerd. It could be anyone really. He also repeats, "You will join the Matrix" every 20 seconds like that first fight, just in case you hadn't had enough motivation to shoot yourself in the head today. I defeat Lizard Bro and move on to Epstein's Island. Oh great, a subject matter I'm sure Alex will handle so well. We need to save all of the babies from Epstein's Island, so that my far-right grifter friends can have them. I mean, oh shit. So apparently Epstein is a necromancer of some sort and his island is full of skeletons. I mean, an island owned by a necromancer who has skeletons sounds like something of a premise for a video game. Shame that's not actually what's happening. It's just lazy enemy design for the level. Couldn't they have thrown some paedophile priests or clowns at us? That would have been more fitting and fun. I mean, if you got to the end of the level and these skeletons were leaping out of Hillary Clinton's closet, that would at least be something close to clever, but sadly not. But hey, if these guys want to hire me as a satirist, I'm down. We then fight the Rapist, who I guess works at Ubisoft. Anyway, he's a man who resembles Bill Clinton playing a saxophone on top of a synagogue, but with the colours of the Israeli flag painted all around it. So I guess the Rapist is also the leader of Alex's Jewish mafia that keep him in a flop sweat at night. Pretty sure Rabbi Rotten would have a thing or two to say about that. Anyway, my favourite president shows up, but he looks nothing like Zachary Taylor, so they really fucked up here.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
This guy looks more like Donald Trump, who did not get me a good grade in one of my politics A-level assignments. I'm glad Trump is here on Epstein's Island. The dude knows it like the back of his hand. Should save us some time.
Alex Jones, you are a tremendous warrior.
Now, how is that not gay?
Anyway, now that the actual threat has turned up, Trump's run away, which is very true to his character. The Crooked Witch of the West Wing shows up and throws gay bats at us, like everything else in this game does. I like that Alex Jones voices everything in this. It makes it very true to life that all these enemies have his words crammed into their mouth and speak with his voice, and all seem to be fantasies painted up by him. After toppling Big Pharma, the internet, and Epstein's Island, we go to the next logical place, Canada. Ah yes, that dystopian Orwellian nightmare. This level's quite reminiscent of the second level of Alien Hominid, where you have to ride cars as you drive along a highway shooting at other enemies. Could be based off of that, could be coincidence, I legitimately don't have a clue. Honestly, this being a sequel to Alien Hominid could work. Jones being an alien who comes to Earth and puts pieces together like a toy manufacturer from the 80s did with stuff like Ninja Turtles. Oh, this guy, he is the villain, and he talks like this. Actually, in the comic, he was, nobody cares, just print it. Yeah, I could picture Jones doing that, but with all of reality. That actually fits. We then get the Trucker News Network roll in, and Preppy News Guy shows up, who I believe is meant to be Tucker Carlson. He offers some stellar voice acting.
These gay frogs are really grossing me out. What is going on? Alex Jones is saving the world.
Starting to think this whole project was made so that Alex would have a bunch of sound bites to play whilst jerking off to make Fun Time extra special for him. Then the Clown News Network boys show up, who I killed in seconds. I noticed that one dies before the other, however they both have the same health bar, so it doesn't matter which one you attack first or for how long. Like in my case, I shot the fuck out of one of them and then attacked the other, and it made it so that the smaller one took 3/4 of the hits to kill it, because game design. Then Castro Jr. shows up, who slightly resembles Trudeau. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I don't really care if I'm not, because I'm never going to say it again. He resembles him if he had a beard. I've noticed he's clean shaven in most of his pictures, minus one or two where he has a beard. And I have to admit, he does look way better beardless. Anyway, he instantly earns my ire by telling me to wear a mask during global pandemics to save the life of my grandmother.
Wear a mask to save Grandma.
Fuck that, Grandma's life comes second to me being a petulant crybaby. Die, you commie bastard. Then we go to Davos, Switzerland. Davos? I don't know, I don't care. Where it turns into B-Tech Castlevania. I like that he doesn't walk down the stairs or descend in a dramatic fashion, he just teleports in front of them. It's the attention to detail that keeps me coming back. So then we fight a Nazi dragon. No, Alex, stop attacking him, he's on your side. The final boss of this game is Giant Puppet Octopus. There's totally no threat of this turning into a gay hentai. Nope, not at all. Definitely not. Then a devil with a human head that I think is meant to be Donald Tusk jumps out of the ground. He's all-powerful globalist. Okay, sure. You know, it's occurred to me this is the first Metal Slug-like game I've ever played that doesn't have grenades. Like, what the fuck's up with that? That's been a thing since 2000 at the very least. After killing Devil Dan or whoever the fuck, Alex Jones runs outside and jumps off of a cliff and kills himself. I mean, he's killed all the people he grifts off, so his income is fucked, and no one has any reason to listen to him anymore. Now he's just a fat, sweaty loser with no job, and all of the pillars of his delusion have been toppled. So he has nothing to sustain himself on anymore. Okay, I'm a big liar, pants. He flies away on a helicopter. But to be honest, I think him killing himself at the end of the game would have actually been far more poetic and would have made far more sense. So, that was Alex Jones's NWO Wars. It's exactly what it says on the tin. Honestly, I'd call this a competently made shooter with an okay foundation, but it really feels like a game that was rushed. There's no polish or innovation, nothing that makes it feel unique as a side-scrolling shooter, and honestly, this game feels like you could have put it on an 8-bit NES cartridge and nothing would be lost. It feels like it had the development of an 8-bit NES game. I think this was made in literal months. As short amount of time as an NES game would have taken to make back in the day. Perhaps that's the intention of the developers, to make it feel like a classic video game. But I feel like there's a bit of a difference between the original Castlevania and Dead Cells, one of them being limited due to software capabilities of the times, and the other expanding upon it using 40 years of innovation and new ideas. I get that this game might not have had the budget or the talent behind it to do anything too amazing, but from a gameplay perspective, this feels very basic. Hell, it's less than basic, as things that have been in the genre since 2000, like grenades, aren't a thing to my knowledge, and most of the enemies don't even seem to hurt you half of the time. The boss fights just have so little to offer compared to games like Alien Hominid and Metal Slug 3, where you had phases and patterns to memorize, and you had to get the timing right in order to overcome them. Like I've said a few times, I played this back to back with other games in its genre, and the game honestly feels like something that came out before those games. From 2005. The political nature of this game is an obvious elephant in the room, and whilst political video games are fine by me, even if I don't agree with the politics of them, this feels steps behind the Spitting Image video game, which was full of funny and clever satire. This is just really obvious, because the target audience of this game just don't want to think for themselves, and probably can't work out simple nuances. If you compare this to, say, Team America, the movie is funny to people of all points on the political spectrum. One of the main reasons for this is that there's genuine comedy, even if you don't understand or agree with the political nature of it, but there's also a level of truth to the satire and the jokes that even people who are drawn to that part of the political sphere will find themselves laughing or even agreeing with it. This game, however, feels like a circle jerk for people who already think a certain way, and if you don't think that way, there's really nothing for you here. It's just a mountain of obscure references, and understanding what it's meant to be doesn't really help one find it funny or thought-provoking. You aren't supposed to be compelled by this game's arguments, you're just meant to agree with them. They don't plant the seeds of doubt or give you an alternate perspective to consider. The game either pisses you off and gives you the finger, or jerks you off and agrees with you, and there's no middle ground for any other reaction that one can have from this game. Just overall, it reminds me of something that someone said, and I can't remember who or where I picked it up, but they said that good art cannot be made when inspired by hate, or something to that effect. In all honesty, I think they're absolutely right. When art is crafted with the intention of hitting out at people or expressing your contempt, you're not trying to create, but destroy. And as a result, all you've got is a product that is designed to really piss people off and give a stiffy to the people who agree with it and don't get pissed off, who are its target audience. Whilst I'm not sure how well it did with the latter, the former, I find this really hard to get mad at. Like, even as someone who doesn't agree with a thing that this game says, I still don't find myself emotionally charged by what's being said to me. It's just too far removed from reality for me to even consider it to be anything other than just a silly joke that's not funny. This game, like most heavy-handed political parodies, is quickly becoming dated. Hell, this video is going to be dated before the year's out. One day this will be like the Spitting Image video game. They sacrifice so much potential quality, so much potential for player enjoyment, just to throw the hardest punch they could at people like me, and it didn't do anything. Or to put it in a more culturally relevant way, all that for a drop of blood? This game was supposed to receive updates, new levels, and things of that nature, but so far the game has no updates, and this legitimately doesn't surprise me, because honestly, they've done all of their talking points in the game already, so there's not really much to go on. They didn't really have enough to fill this game with, and I doubt they'll pull off what Duke Nukem Forever managed with the Doctor Who Clone Me by coming back with a half-decent expansion that actually was better than the original fuck-up of a game. As a political satire, it falls short when compared to Postal and the South Park games, and as a shooter it falls short when compared to Metal Slug. As a result, this product would have been considered worthless if it was released in 2005. And the fact that it came out 20 years later is just pathetic. I would say that at least Alex Jones made some money to pay the Sandy Hook families with this, but apparently most people refunded this thing because you can beat it comfortably within Steam's time span for their refund policy. So people have bought it, played it from beginning to end, and then refunded it. I've personally not done this because I do think that the developers should get paid for their work. I mean, these sprites legitimately look pretty good, and the game as a whole isn't like Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, where I legitimately felt like I've been scammed after buying it. I paid for an Alex Jones side-scrolling shooter so that I could make some video game content out of it, and I got one. So refunding this over political disagreement would have been a bit of a shit thing to do. You know, like telling a bunch of families that the people they lost to gun violence were crisis actors.
Look, here's the thing.
Fine. Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Professor Curious is okay.